In today's video, we're going to be covering the brand new leaked Icon SBC and investments you guys can make for it. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4 or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. So in today's video, we are going to be covering the brand new leaked 90 plus Icon SBC. We're going to be talking about when it should come out. We're going to be talking about when you should invest for it. We're going to be looking at the last 3 Icon SBCs and seeing what investments did well for that. And then finally, we will be covering investments you guys can make for it. So the reason that you may have seen this brand new 90 plus Icon SBC pop up in your feed, if that's on Twitter, TikTok or whatever, is because it was added to the pack code today. Now, when SBCs get added to the pack code, it doesn't necessarily mean that they come out anytime soon. In fact, the consistent trend that we see is that when an Icon SBC is added to the pack code, or a Hero SBC is added to the pack code, that Icon SBC will not come out till a Sunday because that is just the completely normal trend. Very, very rarely will we get an Icon SBC not released on a Sunday. Therefore, although this SBC has been added to the pack code indeed today, going off of the previous trends, almost with 100% non-fail rate, is going to go and get released on Sunday. So the 3 Icon SBCs we're going to be looking at, which are the 3 most recent they've released, is the 90 plus Prime Team of the Year FUT Birthday. The 90 plus Prime Team of the Year FUT Birthday released I think maybe a month prior to that. And then finally the 88 plus Prime Mid or World Cup. And what we're going to be doing is looking at the requirements and seeing what fodder did the best. So the first SBC we're going to be analysing is the third last one we got, which was the 88 plus Prime Mid and Welcome Icon Player Pick. Now, this was 480k and it came out on the 26th of March. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a little look at the requirements and see what went up. It did require an 86, an 87 and an 87 rated team with an Inform. I've now gone and loaded up every single rating, including Informs, and just had a little look how these did. Now we start off with 84s and 85s, and 85s just kept dropping. It came out here on the 26th and it just dropped and dropped and dropped. So first SBC did not rise 85s. The SBC here did rise 86s from 14k to about 15k, so it did rise 86s, but not significantly. 87s, which is really where the bulk of the requirement of this SBC was, rose up from 18.7 up to 21.4. So in the end of the day, not really a relevant rise. Then we get to the likes of 88s, and Stadium went up from there from 26 to about 30k, which is starting to get a little bit better. And then finally Lewandowski, who went from 70k and picked up to around about 80k on the Thursday. So nothing too amazing. So what I then decided to do was have a little look how the Team of the Weeks did. And we got Openda, and Openda went from 22 to about 24, which is an amazing. David, which was an 88 rated Inform, went from 26k all the way up there to 30. And if we look at Berardi, also went 26k all the way up there to 30k. So one of the best rises was on the likes of high rated Informs because it did require an 87 plus Team of the Week. We then moved to the second most recent SBC they dropped for Icons, which was the 90 plus Team of the Year Prime or FUT Birthday. And the requirements for this were relatively similar to the last, of an 85, an 86 and an 88. So very, very cheap team. So let's go through the ratings. This was released on the 8th of April. So we can see right here that Aspas and 85s had no movement. We can see that 86s went up about 1.5k, which isn't really good enough to want to invest in them. We can see that 87s went up about 2k, which is 1k profit. Again, not overly amazing. We can then see the likes of 89s. They went up about 1.2k, so nothing interesting there. And then we look at Lewandowski, and Lewandowski actually went down in price after being expensive, I think, for one of the recent Icon SBCs. So 0 gold fodder was worthy to invest in. We then move to the likes of Informs. We look at Openda right here, and Openda didn't move. We then move to an 88 rated Inform, and the 88 rated Informs went up 1.5k. Another 88 rated Inform here, no movement. Then we move to Aspas. Aspas did go up 1.2k, but not interesting enough. And Discard Informs once again had 0 movement. So for the whole other SBC, absolutely nothing moved. For the first SBC, barely anything moved. Let's move on to the third one. So the last Icon SBC, the most recent one we had about 2 weeks ago, and that was a 90 plus Prime Team of the Year FUT Birthday. In fact, the same thing we had a month prior to that. Now, the SBC was 100k cheaper this time, which was decent, and a real mixed bag of ratings. We need an 85 rated squad with an inform, an 83 rated squad with 2 85s, and an 88 rated squad. So let's have a little look what did well. We start off here at Aspas, and we can see that Aspas went from around about 9.6k all the way up there to 13.8. So, under research, this is the first SBC that actually rose fodder. So 85s did well, under no mad surprise of 2 85s being needed and an 85 rated squad. 86s went from about 16.5k up to 19.5k. Still, in comparison to the other Icon SBCs, a decent rise. 87 Trent went from the likes of about... Where are we going to take this from? About 24k, peaking up there about 26.5. Not bad, but in terms of ROI, not amazing. We then get the likes of Stegen, who went from 29k all the way up there to 37.5. And then we get to the likes of Lewandowski, who was 60 and went all the way up there to 73. We then move to Team of the Weeks, and the Team of the Weeks were very, very interesting. 31 up there to 35. If I can go and load up Aspas. We can see that Aspas went from 27 to 29. And then we can go and look at the 88s, and we can see Berardi went from 32 to 38. And we can go and see that David also went from 32 to 38. So if we look at discard informers, it's actually quite interesting because these went from 14 down to 13.7. So although a lot of those inform rises look amazingly, what this shows me is that actually they're all really inflated for SBCs. Probably would have had a fair few upgrade SBCs. And that's kind of going to be the case with the Gold FLAIR as well, is that some of these players, I'm sure, would have had other SBCs earlier in the week that actually rose them. And as a result of that, they didn't necessarily do really well because of the Icon SBC, and instead it seemed like they were made slightly rare for maybe well-demanded player SBCs or upgrade SBCs. And in fact, if we throw it back, the 22nd of April was 1 week before Team of the Year. The week where there was nothing in packs, the week when no one was opening packs, the week when we had loads of upgrade packs. Which basically means that fodder didn't even necessarily do well because of this SBC, and potentially just did really well because of us getting upgrade SBCs and there not being supply. A position which the market is just not in at the moment. Loads of packs are being opened, loads of supply. You know, there's loads of SBCs around it being demanded. Honestly, in comparison to when we were getting like a 10 times 83 every day, we're just not in that position. So what does this mean? This really means that, is it even worth pre-investing in Icon SBCs? It's probably more risk than it's worth, really. Because the reality is unless you get very, very specific, very, very direct requirements, we're saying 287s and maybe an 87 rated team. So those requirements are any 89 plus team. If there is an 89 plus team, now obviously during team of season this is way less of a problem than it is pre-team of season, but the excessively high rateds can do quite well. We're talking 91s, 92s and 93s. And the reason these can do very, very well is because if it's 89 rated and everyone's got the low fodder, they need a high fodder to go and carry. So something like an Ika Casillas or the likes of a Closer could be pretty decent because obviously they're not in packs and obviously they could be used to carry the high rated teams. But there is a risk that runs with this. And the risk with that is that by looking at the Prem team of season, we can see that these players are really high rated and not expensive. And the worry is, if we go into Bundesliga team of season, we're going to get even more high-rated players, and the Bundesliga is, in theory, less demanded than the Prem, which means we're going to get loads of high-rated players, and they're going to be discard. Which means that the risk with going with high-rated special cards, or high-rated, let's say, those icons, the risk doesn't outweigh the reward, because they're actually risky to invest in. And we're not even guaranteed to get an 89 plus team. They might go 86s, 87s, and maybe throw a bunch of special cards in there. Then we get to the second route, which I think is quite an interesting route, and that is hoping that they go for the team of the season or team of the week requirement. Now, we're yet to have a well-demanded SBC that needs a team of the season or team of the week. Yes, they're demanded in player SBCs, but player SBCs are done nowhere near as much as an Icon SBC, a Hero SBC, a 10x83 SBC, a 5x85 SBC. And one of the really interesting observations is if you look at the cheapest team of the season right now, which is going to be in the EFL, you are paying 19-20k. But if you are looking at the cheapest team of the week, you are paying 10.5k. Now, the one thing I would say is there seems to be a lot of supply of these informs, so you'd arguably need multiple of them being needed, or this would just be the start of the snowball effect of them getting rarer. But basically, it'd be that someone would go and buy a team of the week because they're half the price of a team of season, if they just need, let's say, the requirement of the team of the season or team of the week completed rather than the rating. But one observation to make is actually the team of seasons, if someone's being a high rated, is actually as good value for money as the informs. For example, if we go pick a 90 rated team of season, Barry Bannon, 25k. We look in the team of the week, Lukaku, 25k. So the problem with that is that super high rated informs aren't actually good value for money. The only way this works is if you buy the team of the weeks who are cheaper than team of the season, so we'd be looking at like 85s, 86s, and then they need a team of the week in a low rated squad, which as a result means they're not buying the team of the week for the rating, they're buying the team of the week for them just ticking off that team of the week requirement. And the final route that I'd say is probably one of the best routes is just buy the fodder you'd potentially buy anyway. Now the most consistent fodder in doing well, and even since team of the season, is 83s to 85s. That's because every upgrade SBC, every guaranteed team of the season SBC and so on is always requiring 83 to 85 rated squads. Or it's that the 83s to 85s subsidise the super high rating of a team of the season. So the fodder that's most consistently done well, again during team of the season, is 83s to 85s. So what you can do is you can just this weekend, I'll talk about buy times in a bit, is just go and buy 83s to 85s, and then hey, you know, these players we'd anticipate going up anyway. Maybe you get lucky and they're heavily required for the Icon SBC. That just adds something to already what is going to be an accumulation of them being needed by the end of the week. Because you might have an Icon SBC. They bang for the Icon SBC. You sell them on. They don't bang for the Icon SBC. Hey, they might be needed really well for the upgrade SBC on the Monday or the Team of the Season pack on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. So I'd say one of the safest plays, and I'd say actually the play that has the highest hit rate and a really good backup if it doesn't work, is 83s through to 85. Because again, these are needed for SBCs that we already know are going to be well demanded. It's just that you might get benefit of buying but you might just get the benefit of them being needed for the Icon SBCs. Which moves me to the final investment, and that is don't invest. Because sometimes the best play to do is wait to see what's needed and then react. Because honestly, unless you're sitting on 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 million, if I wanted to go and, let's say I had 1 million coins to invest, or 600k to invest, and they go and release an SBC, and it goes minimum 289s, do you know what? To invest 1 million coins into 89s, I'm having to go and buy 50 cards. And that's not hard to do, you know. All I have to do is buy 50 cards, if that. Which is why if you don't have insane coins, you might as well just wait till the SBC drops and then be reactive to the SBC, then pre-invest for the SBC. Because the reality is you can buy something that you know is going to hit rather than having, let's say, a 1 in 3 chance of your investment hitting. And finally in this video we're going to be covering when to invest in these cards. The cheapest time to pick these cards up are going to be the Saturday. There's a chance Friday evening, but I'd say Saturday. Very consistently have we seen fodder drop on the Friday and then drop more on the Saturday. Now obviously we will wait till the Sunday because there's a very high chance the SBC comes on the Sunday. Worst comes to worst and you get caught with your pants down, you can go and rash invest on the Saturday. They release the Icon SP on the Saturday, out of the outside chance. Then you can just go and invest then. So that is the recommendation. You're going to go Saturday evening, I'd say anywhere from about 7 PM to 9 PM. And yeah, and then you're going to go and sell on the Sunday if they go up, let's say 20%. If not, you can wait till Wednesday. And again, we should get upgrade SBCs, potential player SBCs, and yeah, guaranteed Icon SBCs that can rise them. So that is going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. Again, bit of confusing video if it's investing, but maybe don't invest. But as I say, I did give you multiple avenues you can go for if you do want to risk it for a biscuit, but it is potentially more risk than it is worth, like I covered. But thanks for watching, and see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.